All right, Dream Interpretation Masterclass Week 5, our final week. We have made it. So we've gone over the structure of the mind. We have been writing down and hopefully interpreting your dreams every week, every day. So that's 28 days so far that we've written down our dreams. Hopefully, you've had one every week or every night. And we have a lot of symbols in our own glossary from what we've gone over. We'll have about 15, 20 more today, as well as the ones that you've discovered within your own dreaming and the symbols that come up in your own dreams. So we should have already a lot better understanding of what our dreams are and a lot better tools at our disposal for understanding and interpreting our dreams so that we can better apply those messages into our life. Like I said, having dreams and experiencing dreams is fun, interpreting them are fascinating, but applying the message is definitely the goal in the experience, the value in it all. So we've gone over the structure of the mind, understand what dreams are. We've understand where dreams are, how to identify what level of mind we are dreaming in, the different elements that are associated with those levels. We've gone over, the language, the universal language of the mind, how that language is structured, through form and function, and then applying that function to the consciousness. We've gone over a lot of examples with that. We'll go over some more examples here in just a minute. And we have also interpreted some holy scriptures with it, the creation story, which we then see is a reiteration of the breakdown of that structure of the mind, the initial base form, and why that is, having this field of experience that is created and formed, but that we don't really have a lot of awareness yet. We're initiating awareness. And then now here we are hundreds of lifetimes later, we have a lot of awareness filled into that void. And so, through this conscious lifetime, it's about kind of unlocking a lot of that internal awareness and gaining more conscious awareness this lifetime. That's what dreams will really help you afford. It'll be, one of the best tools that you have in order to do that. And then we've also decoded a movie, Ad Astra. I should have put a list. I have a TikTok video with a list of a bunch of different movies, but Interstellar, Ad Astra, the Matrix, obviously. There's a ton of other movies. Green Lantern is one of my favorites. Also, Men in Black, all three of those. Oh, yeah, there's another one that just recently came out. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That was a really good one. That has a lot of. That's all about astral projection and things, and going within and discovering different things that you can discover within the astral plane in the fourth dimension. Ascending, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. Watchmen. Let me see, Green Lantern. Lovecraft Country. It's a TV show. That's another one. Oh yeah, Stranger Things. I just started watching that off the first episode. I was like, oh man, they revealing a lot right here. Tomorrowland, that's a really good one. And we talked about Chronicle. Chronicle, that's another good one. The Adjustment Bureau, that's pretty good. Yeah, the OA. The OA is another great one. So yeah, that's just a few movies and TV shows. So on to where we're at. So we also learned how to decode different movies and things. So we should be well into a much larger understanding of dreams. At this point, you should definitely have almost a level of mastery of what dreams are in comparison to 90 to 95% of the people in your environment. It is an intuitive understanding as well. So some people can intuitively understand what is being spoken here in dreams. But when you apply your intuition to the understanding of the language, oh man, that's when it gets real. That's when it comes with 100% clarity and awareness. So a recap again, as always, dreams. I can't remind you enough. Dreams are the greatest tool for self-awareness. No matter if you meditate, practice concentration, breath work, all of that. Dreams will provide you the greatest opportunity to become more self-aware, more aware of who you are, what is driving your experiences, what is creating your experiences, what is creating who you evolve into. Dreams are the number one tool by far. All right, and the more you understand about dreams, the more you understand about yourself. Dreams are an internal experience of with your consciousness of your subconscious mind. And your soul uses. Foundational dream understandings. One, every dream is about you, the dreamer. Can't drill that home enough. We're going to go over some visitation dreams today, some lucid dreams today, and some precognitive dreams. We're going to go over those. But even those, there is still the message at hand. You can have a visitation dream where someone else visits you in the dream, or you visit someone else in the dream, and yet there is still the message pertaining to them being an aspect of yourself, because we are all out here in the physical 3D aspects of each other, as we've understood through the structure of the mind. The deeper within you go, the more you realize the connection with each other. The fifth dimension is space. So when you're in the superconscious mind, there's a lot greater level of awareness that of the interconnectedness of every being. So even if you are being visited by someone who seems to be separate from yourself, there is still the fact that they are an aspect of your consciousness as you go deeper into the field of experience. So no matter what, every dream is about you, the dreamer. That's because every person, place, and thing within the dream is an aspect of the dreamer's consciousness. Just like every life experience that you have for you is about you. Every experience you have has to do with you. Yeah, the world doesn't revolve around you, but every experience that you're having, even though it's with other people, it's your experience that you're having. It is a collective experience, but the way you are experiencing it, it is your experience. And for them, it is their experience, but you aren't experiencing their experience. You're experiencing your experience. Three people can go to dinner together and everybody will come away with a whole different story of what happened during dinner, because they all had their own experience. So dreams are a reflection of the dreamer's consciousness the previous day or two. Because as we've understood through the structure of the mind, our thoughts within the subconscious mind are manifesting our physical reality. So, the duty of the subconscious mind is to manifest the thoughts of the conscious mind, and that the conscious mind, the thoughts there, imprint into the subconscious mind. And then due to the quality of a thought or the quantity, how often we're thinking of thoughts, the subconscious mind is then understanding which thoughts to actually put effort and energy towards manifesting. And so when we go into a dream in the subconscious mind, we're seeing and experiencing the thoughts within our subconscious mind that are manifesting. We're seeing the things that are within our mind that are going to manifest into what we experience and who we become. The things that we actually experience during the day is going to be a reflection of the previous thoughts within the subconscious mind that have manifested already into the experiences we're having, and have manifested already into the person that we have already become. So we can see that there's that direct correlation, and through that we can then identify and understand that the thoughts that we are having during the day, our consciousness throughout the day, is going to be what we experience when we go internally into our into the inner levels of the mind and the subconscious mind and dream. So we're looking around things. This should all be kind of a repeat, driving it home. The more attention that you give to your dreams, the deeper your experience will become. That is because it is a universal truth. What you put your attention on grows. Remember that in more than just dreams, everything in life, what you put your attention on grows. If you put your attention on problems, then you'll grow more problems. If you put your attention on solutions, you will grow more solutions. If you put your attention on negative things, you will cultivate more negative experiences. Put your attention on positive things, you will cultivate more positive experiences. If you want more money, put your attention on more money. Don't put your attention on the lack of money that you have. Put your attention on the money. Put your attention on what you already possess. To him who has, more shall be given. That's because attention, energy flows where the attention goes. What you put your attention on grows. If you're focusing on what you have, then having things will grow. Put your attention on what you don't have, then the experience of not having something is what will grow. All right. Another reflection, universal language of the mind. Our mind communicates in images because we think in images. Our thoughts are images. Write down the symbols as we go over today in the back of your dream journal to start your own glossary. So we're going to go over quite a few more symbols today, and so make sure that you are writing those down in your dream, the back of your dream journal for your own glossary. This is going to be vital for yourself. And then maybe, as you grow that glossary, take a picture of it in your phone as you grow it. That way, like I had a former mentee just the other day hit me up, asked me, what does a hotel mean? I left my notes at home on vacation. And so, it's a picture of all her glossary in the back. And so that's another suggestion that I'm not really realizing until now, having that experience I can share with all of you. That's one thing you can do is as you add more symbols, take a picture of it. Then it's just in your phone, available to you at any time. You could be, at work on break, somebody says something about their dream, and you're like, oh man, I've been learning about dreams. Hold on, what'd you dream about again? Okay, let me see. Okay, well, these three symbols are in there. This other symbol is in there, but through these three symbols, I can help you understand that this is what your dream's telling you. So you don't have to, oh, well, when I get home, I'll look at my dream journal and then I can share with you. Right, so that's another little added feature that you can do. As you grow your glossary, there's a picture of them. Well, you have to take that with you. All right, and then if you don't already, or if you aren't already doing this, I don't know why not, but you definitely need to start writing down your dreams like this. Having a dream journal that is only for your dreams, a notebook that is only for your dreams, writing them down, and write down tomorrow's date. So how you start every single time, every single dream, you write down tomorrow's date. This is when we first did this in week 3. But that is creating an expectation that you will have a dream. You expect to have a dream tomorrow. Write down, and then write down, I will remember my dreams. And then put the pen inside the notebook, set it down, either next to you, under your pillow, use it as a pillow, it doesn't matter. And then say out loud, I will remember my dreams. Go to sleep. Then when you wake up, draw a line down the middle here, and then write down the dream. And then underline all of the actual images that you see. And then write out the images over here and interpret them either from your dream glossary or, hopefully after a while, you don't even need the dream glossary. You either through memory or understanding the language will understand the symbols. And then if there's one that's not in there, then do your best to try to figure it out. And if you don't, have one that's not in there, feel free to reach out to me. Go check the website on the glossary that I have on there and see if it's on there, and if not, then, shoot me a message and I'll put a video on there for it, or at least put, the writing of the interpretation for you. All right. So this is the mind triangle. We should all be very familiar with this right now, the structure of the mind. We're out here in the physical, in our 3D body, physical bodies, using the conscious mind. This is the 4th dimension, which is the dimension that our soul uses. Our consciousness can experience the 4th dimension through our soul, which uses the subconscious mind. There are 4 different levels within that. So the subconscious mind is made up of mental body, of 2 astral bodies, and an emotional body. And so, your aura is the being able to perceive with your physical eyes someone or your own astral or etheric bodies, the mental body, astral bodies, emotional body, which is your soul. So seeing someone's soul, you're seeing their aura, you're seeing someone's soul. And then the 5th dimension is the dimension that our spirit uses, our consciousness uses our spirit to be able to experience within the 5th dimension, because this whole mind, as we learned in week 3, that this is the field of experience, the waters. We experience through the mind in these different dimensions in order to identify and understand who we are. All right, so some more common symbols to go over. So write these down. This thing, get your dream journal, write these down. All right. So the first symbol is an airport. An airport is all about giving and receiving energy with others, because what's the function of an airport? Airport is all about, moving in and out. You have planes coming in and out. You have taxis coming in and out. You have buses coming in and out. You have cars coming in and out. You have Ubers coming in and out. I mean, hell, you probably have people walking in and out. So, airport is all about giving and receiving energy. You have all, the buses and the cars and the taxis and everything coming in and out of the one end, and then you have the planes and everything coming in and out of the other end. And so it's about a transference of energy. You know, your solar plexus chakra is the chakra that is transferring energy with other people. You know, your sacral chakra transfers solar energy from the sun. Your root chakra transfers uh, earth energy from the earth, so on and so forth. And so so usually in airport, I almost always will go into solar plexus things, you know, how you're giving and receiving energy with others. You know, if you're interpreting someone else's dream, or if you're someone who doesn't really understand a whole lot about chakras, then, you know, don't really focus on, you know, solar plexus and things like that. But if you are someone who understands solar plexus, then you'll have a lot deeper metaphysical understanding of what the dream is really talking about. But in general, you know, even if you don't understand the solar plexus and things like that, then and the energy's there, then you can just look at, you know, how you're giving energy to other people and how you're receiving energy with other people. Are you late for a flight? You know, are you stuck in line? You stuck in security? You know, and it's all clogged up, backed up. You know, you know, what's really going on? Is it hectic? Is there some bomb threat? You know, are the planes actually taking off and landing? Are the planes blowing up? You know, what's really going on at the airport? Who's there with you? Are there other people with you? So to help you to understand what aspects you utilize for yourself in the exchange of energy with other people. So fighting in a dream, said everything in the dream is you. So if you're fighting with someone in the dream, you're fighting with yourself. You're beating yourself up. You know, who's winning this fight? You know, a lot of times it's not even necessarily, um, beating yourself up. You know, if you're really beating each other up in the fight, then yeah, you're kind of beating yourself up. Where you're getting down on yourself. You make a mistake. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Ah, this is always fucked up. Ah, man, shit never goes my way. You're just badgering yourself. You're just beating yourself up, tormenting yourself. Or it could just be, an internal struggle. Man, should I do this or should I do that? Um, I recently had to make a decision on how I'm making my money. Should I continue doing what I'm doing or should I take up this new opportunity? Both were like dead even on the benefits and the detriments, I felt. And so it was really hard to make that decision, but I just, I didn't fight with myself about it. I just assessed, looked at what are the pros, what are the cons, what provides the best benefit at this moment in time, and then went with that. And so in a previous time of my life, I would have been like in such turmoil, like, oh my God, I got to make this decision in one day's time. What do I do? And I would have been beating myself up over it, like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? But so sometimes it's just fighting and weighing options, kind of tossing back and forth and not really getting anywhere with it. So if there's like just a small scuffle, then maybe it's talking about something like that, not necessarily, beating yourself up about something. All right. Now a mountain is going to represent a challenge because just like we said, a path in life or in the dream, a pathway in the dream is going to represent your life path. Well, if you come across a mountain, if you're traveling from one side of the country to the other, even in a car, it's going to be a little more challenging for your car. But walking and things, you come across a mountain, it's like, oh man, we need to, really assess how we're going to get over this. We need a game plan. We can't just walk this direction and see what happens. Like people who are going traveling from East Coast to the West Coast back in the days, the ones who didn't sell all their stuff and have plans to buy new stuff when they got there, ones who carried all their pianos and dressers and everything, their couches and everything with them. By the time they got to the mountains, they realized, oh yeah, we messed up. We got to just leave this stuff behind because this is too much of a challenge to carry all this baggage with us. So that's what a mountain's going to represent, a mental challenge, something that's very challenging for you to overcome, some sort of obstacle within your life or within your mind that is going to be very difficult to overcome. So what's going on in the dream with the mountain are you overcoming the mountain? Are you climbing over the mountain? Are you having difficulty getting over the mountain? Are you not even trying to tackle the mountain because it just seems too much of a challenge? What's really going on here with the mountain. So fish represents spiritual knowledge. That is because up until the last 100 years or so, with ocean exploration, really our only experience with fish is as food. Going out and getting fish and using them for food. Up until the last 100 something years, that's literally the only experience with fish that we've had for humanity. So thousands of years of only using it as food. Well, it's the food that's contained within the water. So it represents spiritual knowledge. So what kind of spiritual knowledge have you been receiving? Not just regular knowledge, understanding, like we talked about, food is the knowledge contained within the life experiences that we have. The understandings we are, the deeper understandings that we are building through the lessons that we're learning from life, like understandings of communication, understandings of friendship, understandings of abundance, understandings of interconnectedness. Well, that one may be more spiritual, but understandings of friendship, understandings of loyalty, understandings of productivity, things like that. But spiritual knowledge is more like understandings of consciousness, understandings of interconnectedness, understandings of energy, understandings of breath, understandings of the dreams, spiritual knowledge. So anything that has to do with any consciousness, higher minded, metaphysical type knowledge, it's going to be spiritual knowledge. So are you eating the fish? Are you collecting the fish? Are you seeing the fish? Are you not seeing the fish? Or are you swimming in the water looking for fish and you're not seeing none? What's really going on with the spiritual knowledge? They want to look at that. That'll give you the context into what the subconscious mind is trying to tell you about the spiritual knowledge within your life. Okay, blood represents life force energy. So is whatever's going on, is there a lot of blood? Is whatever the dream telling you about, like for instance, fish. If you're seeing fish there with a lot of blood, then it's like, the spiritual knowledge that you have either is about your life force energy, or depending on the context of how the blood and the fish are showing up, or it's, you're spending a lot of energy to cultivate this spiritual knowledge. So maybe find a way to cultivate it while conserving some more energy, or revitalizing, recycling that energy back into yourself. If there's blood in the dream, it's kind of indicating something about your life force. Are you are you spending your life force wisely or efficiently, or is your life force energy being drained in some way? Like, how are you bleeding out, or what is it that is bleeding out, or how's the blood showing up? Or are you using it very efficiently? So, are you recycling that back into yourself somehow? So that's what you want to look at. Flying represents mental freedom. Flying means that you're able to move around without being weighed down by gravity. So how does that relate to the consciousness? The things that normally weigh you down, the stresses of life that normally weigh us down, you're free of those. It's not weighing you down. So mental freedom. So whenever you're experiencing flying in the dream, look back in the day before and reflect on how you were able to let go of those things that normally weigh you down and experience that freedom and flying, that mental freedom. You're free to fly mentally and go wherever you like. So bicycle, skateboard, that represents balance, because it takes balance in order to ride a bicycle. It takes balance in order to ride a skateboard. It takes balance in order to ride, rollerblades. It takes balance in order to ride on a motorcycle. All of these things will represent internal balance. Being balanced internally. Your emotions come through and they aren't knocking you off course. They aren't causing you to have these strong emotional reactions. You're more imbalanced. The emotions come in, you observe the emotions, you identify why the emotions are there, you identify what the purpose of that particular emotion is, and then you can more easily respond to what's going on that stimulated those emotions versus react. Mental balance. The thoughts aren't just, like a tornado or like a tsunami, just flooding in and tormenting and spinning around and around, same thoughts over and over. There's more balance. The thought comes in, you assess the thought, you apply the thought, you move on to the next thought. You're able to create space within your thoughts. How is the bicycle and skateboard? Are you falling off the bicycle or skateboard or motorcycle? Are you easily moving through? Are you riding with no hands? Are you doing tricks? Are you making progress? Are you using the balance to go towards something, or are you running from something? Are you using the balance to, achieve your goals, or are there things you're hiding from and you're utilizing that balance in order to hide from it? Like, for example, the long breath that I share with everyone. Taking long, slow, deep breaths. Scientifically, no negative emotion can remain. So, there was a point in time when I learned that I was kind of using that to avoid my emotions. I was at a point like we learned last week with Ad Astra, when you first start to go within, the first level that you go into, is the emotional level. When you first go in, first thing you're going to experience. So as you begin to start doing, like at first with metaphysical work, you'll practice concentration, you'll practice dream and, interpretation, you'll practice meditation and breath work and energy and things. But as you get cultivating the skills of the conscious mind, mastering the ego and building a strong relationship with the ego, then there's nowhere else to go but within. And as you begin that trek inward, the very first place is your emotions. So this was around the time when I first started first started practicing astral projection, was having a lot of lucid dreams and things, was really working on opening that doorway into the emotional level and clearing out those stagnant emotions that have been stored away and stuffed away my whole entire life. You know, just from being a tourist, being a male in American society and the particular family that I was in. And so, that's what was going on. So I was having a lot of emotional reactions more than normal, and I started using the long breath to kind of just alleviate the experience of those emotions without actually, processing them and responding to them. I was just kind of removing the emotional charge, it's where it wasn't able to do what it was supposed to do, which was to stimulate me to change. I was just removing and alleviating the severity of it and then continuing on like nothing happened. And so that's a way where I was using the balance. I was on a skateboard, but I was still running from something. I'm not facing it. So that's a way in which you can be balanced and utilize that balance, but still running from something. All right. So a window is all about allowing you to perceive and see beyond the limitation of the wall or the door. And so if seeing that anything has to do with sight, like we talked about with eyes, anything has to do with sight has to do with awareness. A wall represents a limitation. So having awareness of what's beyond some sort of limitation. So if have identified some sort of limitation, like me, I used to have a limiting thought. I need more money. That was a very strong thought that was limiting me. And so as I worked with that, I began to be able to see what it would be like to live without that limitation. And so I started having dreams of like windows and moving through windows, climbing out of windows and things. And so as I began to have more of the experience of breaking out of that limitation, so a window will represent being able to see beyond, being able to perceive what is beyond that particular limitation. So you would maybe first want to identify what the wall is representing within your life, or maybe the window is going to help you to identify, what new thoughts was I having the day before that was like of new possibilities of living in a different way versus how I've been living, or thinking in a different way versus how I've been thinking, or feeling a different way versus how I've been feeling. Then the window might be able to help you identify the wall, versus the wall helping you identify the window, one or the other. Just use it to, use any symbol you can to help you to identify another that you're having trouble with. If there's a person you're not really able to, man, I was in this room with Uncle Greg, and I can't really, for the life of me, I can't really put a characteristic to my Uncle Greg. I don't know, man. Well, okay, I was looking out the window with him. Okay, well, I can identify. Oh, you know what? I was seeing that my uh, the limitation of I need more money, and think yesterday I was really just imagining all the things that would be possible if I was living a life where I didn't need more money, where I had more than I needed all the time. And it was so regular that I completely forgot about the time in my life where I did need more money. Okay. Oh yeah. You know what? My Uncle Greg got a lot of money, man. He's very stable and he's always had plenty of money. He's not like filthy rich or anything, but he's never wanted for nothing. Okay. So okay. I've been using my Uncle Greg represents the part of myself that is abundant, that understands abundance. Okay. So that's the part of myself that I was kind of using to perceive past the window, past the wall. Oh, okay. So now I can identify what that part, so use the different symbols within your dream that you do understand to help you to identify the other symbols that you don't understand. Now that we're going deeper into dreams, here's some extra things to do more than just, looking at the symbols that you do know and just letting go of the symbols you don't know. So next, candy and donuts. Like we talked about with fish and we talked about food in past weeks. Food will represent knowledge, the understandings that you can gain deeper understanding of through the life lessons that you have to live in life, the knowledge that you can gain from your life experiences. Well, that's because we eat food for the nutrients that they hold. Well, we don't eat donuts and candy and ice cream because of the nutrients that they have. We eat them because it tastes good. We want to satisfy our senses, our sweet tooth, we want to satisfy our senses. So candy and donuts and things will represent sensory satisfaction. So like for example, you know, today I went and worked this job for a client. And I went and picked up my friend along the way. And me and this friend, we haven't really been able to have a lot of time together the last couple weeks and things. And so I really wanted to make a focus before on my way to pick him up. I was really wanting to focus on connectivity and really connecting with him and using the experience with him to understand connectedness, you know. And so cultivating a connection and holding and strengthening the connection we have. So understanding connection. So I'm kind of in a dream tonight. I might have a dream tonight where I'm in a kitchen preparing food, because I was preparing the experience for that knowledge. Well, you know, maybe instead of doing that today, I could have been like, you know what, let me call this client and cancel. Let me call Chris and cancel. And let me just, go to the pool. Or let me just go downtown and go for a walk across the bridge. Or let me just go to a movie, and go watch a movie at the movies. Or let me go to the, Kings Island or something, some theme park or something. Something that's going to satisfy my senses. Let me just go to the pool and enjoy the water. Or let me just go downtown and feel the air on my face as I'm walking around. Let me go watch a movie and be entertained. Let me just use my life experiences to satisfy my senses. There's not really any nutrition in any of those experiences, in particular. That's not the purpose of why I'm doing those experiences. I'm doing them for the purpose of satisfying my senses. So that's what candy and donuts will represent versus food and, knowledge. All right, so pictures. I put pictures in with movies and TV earlier, and movies and TV represent visualization, but pictures actually represents memory. So I wanted to come back around and clarify that, because pictures are images of the past versus like TV and movies are more so like imagination things. So using imagination to create a particular image, where pictures are more memory. So looking at your memory anytime, and I put toys right after this because toys represent imagination, because kids use toys and they utilize their imagination while they're using the toys. And so I put those two together to help identify, like to help understand the correlation of anytime these symbols come up. You may want to look at the reasoning. How are you using your reasoning the day before? Because reasoning represents, or the three keys of reasoning are memory, attention, and imagination. Memory, for you to better understand the past and perceive the past. Attention, to better understand and perceive what's going on in the present moment. And imagination, to better understand and perceive the possibilities of the future. And so then moving on, chair and table represent stability, just like the number 4 that we went over last week represented stability. That is because, a chair has 4 legs. A table has 4 legs. And so, you might find some table that's, built with 3 legs. It's a fancy modern table with 3 legs. A chair, fancy stool with 3 legs. But those chairs and tables still are not as stable as one with 4. You got to be careful what you put on those. You ain't putting your 80-inch TV on that three-legged chair or the table. So four represents stability. So chairs and tables with four legs represent stability. So inner stability, being rooted. After you have so much spiritual knowledge, you understand yourself beyond your physical body through so much experience that no one can tell you otherwise. So now you have some spiritual stability. So then when you go and lucid dream and astral project, there is no fear there because you know who you are, you know what that essence is, and you know that nothing can hurt you or harm you unless you allow it to. And through allowing it, that just means that your own mind is creating any of that pain, not anything outside of yourself. So that more spiritual knowledge you have, the more inner spiritual stability you'll have. But also maybe it's not, maybe it's emotional stability. Maybe it's just mental stability. Being, if you're someone who's been experiencing ADD your whole life, been given medicine, been taking medicine your whole life, and then you start practicing concentration for 10 minutes a day, every single day. After 90 days, 120 days, 365 days, you realize, oh, you know what? It's been 2 weeks. I've forgotten to take my medicine because I haven't just needed it. Oh, wow. This is wild. I have much more in mental stability. My thoughts aren't just on doing things on their own. My thoughts aren't in control. I'm in control of my thoughts. Wow. I have much more inner stability. So you might start having dreams about chairs, tables, or four bears, or, four fish that you're eating on a plate. The number four is coming up a lot in your dreams. If you're starting to experience more mental stability or emotional stability or whatever, spiritual stability. All right. Some questions here. Next one, outer space. It represents inner space. We kind of went over a lot of these in the at Astra interpretation last week. So outer space represents inner space. Stars are the greatest light available to us on the planet, in the planets, outside of the planets. No source of light is stronger than the sun. The sun is the strongest light available to us. The second strongest light available to us is the moon. The third strongest light available to us. If the sun's not out and the moon is not full, it's a new moon, then the stars still provide more light than any other light source on this planet. Yeah, you might be able to, turn on a porch light and see, the next, 50 feet or even 100 feet, or maybe it's a super strong light and you can see a mile out. That's still nowhere near as much light as the stars provide, which they cover and provide light to the entire half of the earth that's not being seen by the sun. It might not be a lot of light, but it's still enough light that's covering and the entire half of the planet. So still a lot of light. So the greatest source of awareness, light represents awareness. We've gone over that. The greatest source of awareness is super conscious awareness, 5D awareness. The second greatest source of awareness is subconscious awareness. And the third greatest source is conscious awareness. So anything going on with the sun in the dream, that's representing more awareness of the superconscious mind, more awareness of your spirit, more awareness of the fifth dimension, more awareness of interconnectedness. And the power of the superconscious mind is awareness, because it is the greatest source of awareness, the highest form of awareness. Do that highest form of awareness, you can transcend over things that have previously held you back. Moon. If the moon's coming up in your dream, subconscious awareness, your intuitive awareness, awareness of your soul, awareness of the fourth dimension, awareness of things within the future, awareness of things within the past. Because time is not limited within the fourth dimension. Conscious awareness, more awareness of who you are as a physical person, more awareness of your attention, your memory, your imagination, more awareness of the reasoning within the conscious mind, more awareness of the ego. The stars will help you identify those things. So look at how it's showing up. Are you traveling out into space? Are you looking at the sun in the dream? When I first started looking at the sun in life, it didn't take long for me to be finding the sun and looking at the sun in my dreams. All right. So a gun and a knife. We talked about death representing transformation. Well, these are the instruments, the tools for killing something. So tools for change. So who has the gun? Does somebody else have the gun or knife? and they're threatening to shoot you or kill someone else, that's going to feel like, you're not in control. Just like if someone else is driving the car, you're not really in control of the direction you're going in life. So you feel like you're not in control of how you're changing and how you're growing, because we're all always changing. Universal law of evolution. We're always changing and transforming. We're always growing and changing into some form or fashion. Either we're excelling or we're digressing. One of the two, but we are changing. We are evolving. Our experiences are changing and evolving. We are changing and evolving. So are you in control, conscious control of what you are going to change and transform into? Or do you feel like you're not in control and your experiences and environment are stimulating you into how you are changing and growing? Or do you have the gun and knife in hand and you are in control of who you're changing, how you're changing and what parts of yourself you're transforming? So then look in the dream, what parts of yourself are they bad guys or good guys? Are they people that you know or people that you don't know? That's the main thing. Any dream that I've ever had my gun or knife in my hand, it was always some kind of bad guy, that I was shooting at. Anybody else that I've come across interpreting dreams, I've never had anybody, say they were, killing, their kids or, their best friend or anything, unless their best friend is just someone who they don't trust or something, and they kind of represent some unproductive part of the self. So, if that is the case, then hey, maybe you don't want to change that. Maybe pay attention to that. Not change and transform that by yourself. All right, drowning. It talks about water representing life experiences. Well, drowning means you're being overwhelmed with water. It's overtaking you. So that's going to represent how in the waking life you're feeling overwhelmed with your life experiences. You feel like things are kind of, a little too much for you. You're feeling overwhelmed. So find ways, what else is going on in the dream? What led you to drowning in the water? What else was going on? If that was the only thing, then just look at what's kind of how you feel overwhelmed with your life right now. What experience do you have that kind of feel are a little too much? You're not, it's a lot to take on. Um, and then, like the long breath really will help with that, to alleviate kind of the feeling of anxiety or anything that might be there, and then be able to better respond to the experiences in your life to do something about it. Like someone who's drowning, it's risky to save them because they're in such a state of panic. That they can, grab onto you and try to climb up you and drown you while they're trying to save themselves. You were just trying to help them out and save them, but they're in such a state of panic. So like, doing the long breath will help alleviate that kind of internal panic, to where then you can assess, okay, look, the land is right over here, or a boat's right over here, or life preserver's right over here. I just need to utilize my energy in kind of swimming over to that first, and then get myself out of this situation. So breathing, the long breath will help, alleviate that internal panic. All right, alcohol and drugs, they represent breaking down the will, because that's what they do. Alcohol, it breaks down your will. That's why it's called, having beer goggles. You normally be willing to do anything with this person, but now that you have this, it's broken down your will. Liquor, hard liquor is called spirits, because it breaks down your will, because no entity outside of yourself can influence your being or possess your body or being without you being willing to allow it to. Now, someone with a weak will not object to it, and through that, they'll kind of, in a way, be kind of bullied into it, but it's not imposing upon their will, because they are allowing it to happen. They're willing it to happen, because they just don't have a strong will. So when you drink or do hard drugs, you're breaking down your will. And so how does that look like in the life? Hitting the snooze button could be as simple as breaking down your will. Your will is willpower is making a conscious choice and following through with it. Not just following through with it, but continued unceasing actions until you have achieved the goal. That is willpower. That is true willpower. So if I make a decision to get up at 6 o'clock, 6 o'clock comes around, alarm goes off to let me know, hey, 6 o'clock, you want to get up, here you go. And I just turn and hit the snooze. I'm breaking down my will, because I made a conscious choice and then I went against it. I did not follow through with it. But what's some other ways? After I get off work today, I'm gonna go to the gym. And then I get off work, I sit down on the couch and relax, and I'm like, fuck that. I've made a conscious choice, but I didn't follow through with it. So you may end up, having a dream where you're smoking some weed or drinking some beer or something. What's another example? Okay, I am going to utilize this diet to lose some weight, feel better, and become more healthy. And then you're like, let me do a cheat day. Okay, then that cheat day turns into something, you're just breaking down your will. You made a conscious choice and you went against it. And so anytime that this kind of comes up in your dream, one, you definitely want to identify what conscious choice have I made and how have I gone against it. And then two, you'll want to not only be mindful of strengthening your will for that particular thing, but also practice different things that will strengthen your will in general. Some simple ways that you can strengthen your will is before you go brush your teeth, just say out loud, I will brush my teeth, then go in and brush your teeth. I will take a shower, then go in and take a shower. I will take out the trash, then go take out the trash. I will go to the store and buy these 4 items and go do it. So make conscious choices, speak it out loud, and then follow through with it. That's how you can build up your willpower. So next, bathroom. Bathroom is a place. Places are states of mind. So a bathroom is all about letting go, releasing. Because what we do in the bathroom, we piss and shit in there, and we wash off the dirt in the shower. So it's all about releasing things, like we talked about with food. The food represents power because of the nutrients that are in it. Well, what happens to the rest of the food? The parts of the experience that are no longer needed, we let them go. As we learn from experiences, we become more grateful for having that experience because otherwise we might not have learned that lesson in life. And so that gratitude helps us to let go of the rest of the experience. The emotions tied to the experience. We can easily let those go because of the lesson that we learned. The things that experience actually helped us and benefited us. And so the bathroom is where we do that. So bathroom is going to be all about release. Are the toilets working? Are the sinks working? Is the shower working, or is it not working? Do those need your attention? The tools for release, like breath, maybe a tool to help you release things. Breath, assimilation, dream interpretation. Any of those kind of things can be tools, mental tools, to help you to release and let go of things. Or is it all over the walls and piss all over the walls? Did you release and let go of something in your life, but it was very messy in how you did it? Did you cuss somebody out or something? And so in the bathroom, you kind of release those things, or is everything in proper order? Everything working very well, clean as a whistle. The towels are all neatly, nicely folded over in the corner. Showing that you have been very good at how you have been letting go of things in your life and releasing things, letting go of the emotions, letting go of the thoughts that are tied to it, letting go of being attached to the experience. So what's going on? You always want to look at the context. All right, next one, war. War, war is more than just, there's different levels. There's a fight, there's a battle. Maybe it's like, 10 and 20 of your friends, 10 and 20 other people, kind of a little battle, a scuffle. And then there's a war. War involves, like all of the aspects of the self. All of the aspects of the self are in battle with each other. You're embattled within. There's a lot going on, a lot of internal conflict going on. There's a lot of transformation occurring. So I used to have a lot of these dreams when within my first year and a half of really like within 2 years of just at the time I was spending all moments of every day either practicing something or contemplating something or reading something or watching something in regards to some sort of metaphysical principle, meditation, concentration, visualization, energy transformation, breath, dream interpretation, lucid dreaming, all type of stuff. And I truly transformed who I was rapidly and quickly. I had a lot of war dreams because there was a lot of internal conflict where old parts of myself that were unproductive, they didn't produce positive experiences for myself. Being bullheaded, being stubborn, being angry and quick to anger, being confrontational, being impatient, all of those things that were very prevalent in my personality. Like, I mean, I still have experiences with those, but I mean, they were very prevalent in my personality, and how I acted and who I was. And there was a strong internal conflict over this power struggle of what parts of myself would be in control and in command. And so all of these other things that I was building and strengthening, there was a conflict going on within myself of who is going to end up and result in control. Well, I did continue the effort, and so that determined the war. But had I, in the middle of it all, been like, you know what, this is a lot. I mean, I'm spending 2 hours every day minimum of just doing, meditation, energy work, breath work, interpreting my dreams, writing down my dreams, like 2, 3 hours on this. Visualization exercise, concentration exercise, memory exercise. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of discipline that it took to do that. And as well as, like, the way I was eating just raw fruits and vegetables. Well, not raw alkaline foods, but alkaline foods are all just like fruits and vegetables and various things, but not all of them, just particular ones. So I was, doing a lot. So I could have easily just stopped doing all of that. And then, the war may have waged in a different way. The tide of the war that was being waged may have went a different direction. And I went back into those old ways of being, so war will represent the internal conflict on a grander scale. You're really transforming a lot major parts of yourself. All right, so stealing is, stealing things. People only steal things that hold some sort of value. Nobody's out here stealing grass clippings out of people's yards after they, you know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be money, but anything that's being stolen has to do with value, devaluing yourself. And we all experience, different ways that we do this sometimes, where we talk down about ourselves and don't think we deserve something, or maybe not all of us always, but in some form we can kind of understand that experience. So anytime stealing shows up in the dream, where anyone is taking something in the dream, then that's going to represent ways their own value. So identify that in the day. When were you talking down about it? When did you feel you weren't deserved? When did you feel that you did deserve something negative or something? So the next one, dragon. Dragon will represent the ego. So what was going on with the dragon? Was the dragon terrorizing the town? Were you in control of the dragon? Were you just, were you seeing the dragon? Was it on the ground doing things? Seeing it flying in the sky represents, is kind of unified with the superconscious mind. Sky represents superconscious mind, like we talked about. So it represents the unification of the ego aligning with the superconscious mind. So that's, you're beginning to master and work with the ego. Remember, the ego is the motivating force. It's it's there to motivate you and push you forward. Ego is all about identity. That's why in psychology they call the ego the id, because id, identity, id, entity. The id entity, the identity, the entity of the id, how you identify your personal entity. And so through how we identify, that does motivate us. I want to be seen as someone who is like this. So that's going to motivate you. I don't want to be seen as someone who's lazy. That helps motivate you to become more hardworking. I want to be seen as someone who's strong. So that motivates you to cultivate more courage. So utilize the ego to where it's pushing you and motivating you towards things, not that the ego is in control. Where I want to identify as someone who's strong, so I can't be seen crying. What I mean? That then the ego is in control, and it's limiting you, not pushing you forward. Like Satan in the Bible represents the ego. The snake at the beginning of the Bible represents the ego. The devil, or Satan, is the evolution of that ego. And then the dragon at the very end is the evolution of the ego also, to the very end. But I'm bringing up the Bible because, like, in the Bible, Jesus was, being tempted by Satan right before he went and was hung on the cross and everything. And, Satan was telling, tempting him all this stuff. Jesus could have, in the Bible, he could have just killed the devil right there, saved us all a lot of trouble. But he didn't. He could have told him, man, get the fuck out of here. Get away from me. I'm busy here. I'm trying to meditate. Because that's what he was doing. He's in there meditating. I'm trying to meditate, man. Get out of here. He didn't tell him to leave either. He said, get behind me, Satan, because that's where the ego belongs. The ego belongs in the back, pushing you forward. Not, if you have a car that's broken down, you want to be, having your friends help you push from behind and you steer because you know where you're needing to go. Or, somebody knowing where they need to go and everybody else in the back pushing you forward. So ego needs to be in the back, pushing you forward. You determine where you're going to go. Don't let the ego determine where you're going to go. How's that dragon showing up? And how's that relating to, any ego reactions throughout the day, or how you've been utilizing your ego to motivate you? So horse represents willpower. We went over what willpower is earlier. Horse represents willpower. So are you riding the horse? Is the horse sick? Is it needing to be fed? Is it injured? Or is it just out running in the field, looking very strong and free? What's going on with the horse? And that'll give you the context of how you need to interact with your willpower and what you need to do with your willpower. All right. So we've gone a lot into dreams and interpreting dreams and understanding our dreams. Now we're going to go into the different types of dreams. The first one up is a visitation dream. So remember, dreams occur within the subconscious mind here. This is the physical bodies using the third dimension, here in the third dimension using the conscious mind. Well, in the subconscious mind, in the subconscious mind within the fourth dimension, the vehicle that we are using is our soul, or right in here are astral bodies. That's mostly it's usually within here that we're experiencing dreams. Dreams occur in the subconscious mind. Dreams occur within the fourth dimension being time. So there is no time needed to travel. You can go into the future, experience different possibilities in the future. That's when people talk about, alternate realities in multiple dimensions. That's where they're going into different lines of probability. Anything is possible. Universal law of infinity. Anything is possible. From this moment to the next moment, anything is possible. At every moment, you have the ability to access every single alternate reality. Now, being able to do that, it's not like that it's not as if there's, an infinite number of yous existing at any time. There's just an infinite number of possibilities for you to evolve into, because we're always stuck and locked in this present moment. And all of the different possibilities are what are available to us through the fourth dimension. Now, what's most probable, based upon our own thoughts and actions, and the thoughts and actions of those around us and in our environment, then we can see that these things are most probable. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow with hot dogs for fingers. That's very far from the most probable thing. Now, it is possible. It's not very probable. And so, we can, through the fourth dimension, see these probable things. I should probably be talking about this with precognitive dreams, but I'm just laying it out as far as the aspect of time, because visitation dreams, yes, the person, most of us experience visitation dreams with loved ones who have passed away. So that's what I'm going to speak on first. And so if someone dies and they no longer have a physical body here in the third dimension, they still have a soul within the fourth dimension, a spirit within the fifth dimension. And so they're, after you die, they're just sitting there assimilating their experiences, processing what happened, what understandings did they learn and feed into their soul, how are they a greater, soul, what more wisdom do they have now than before they were born that past lifetime. And then they start assessing, okay, well, let's look at what I want to learn next. Okay, what's the best possible way to learn that? What astrological aspects are going to help me to learn that? What family and area of the planet do I want to go in that's going to help me learn that? So they start assessing their next life that they want to come into. But, during that time, at any time, you can go and visit them and ask them to come and visit you. We'll kind of go over that with the incubation dream part. But you can ask them to visit you. But a lot of times it just happens naturally, because, the person, the entity knows that their loss and your misunderstanding for it is causing a lot of grief and sadness for you, because they're no longer out here in the physical. So you can't really see them, because remember, these two lines, you feel so separate. And since they aren't here in this existence, and for a lot of people, they aren't even aware of any existence beyond there. So, oh, they don't exist anymore at all. You know what I mean? Because they aren't in the plane that they're in. And so they sometimes will come and visit you naturally in a dream for you to kind of help alleviate and realize that they're okay. They're happy with where they're at. They're okay with how things happen. And they're and that they still love you. Okay. So when someone dies, a lot of they no longer have a physical body here in this 3D reality, but they do still have a soul, in the fourth dimension, a spirit in the fifth dimension. And they go on, assimilating the life experiences that they had, looking and identifying at the understandings that they built, the wisdom that they gained through the life that they just got done living. And then they'll do, some other things and then decide whether they want to go into another life or maybe stay in the fourth dimension and help out the other souls that they're friends with, essentially. Help out from the fourth dimension, being a spirit guide, guiding those that belong that are still in the physical. And then they'll assess, okay, well, what do I want to build next? What understandings do I want to learn next? And they'll start looking at the different astrological influences, numerological influences of incarnating into the next body, the different parts of the planet they may want to go to that will best help with the understandings that we want to learn, the family and and time frame that they'll want to be born into in order to have the best option for what they want to learn and build as a soul, as a being. You can incubate a visitation dream. You can ask someone who's no longer physical in the physical to come and visit you and through your dream when you're in the astral plane, because that's where they're at. You're going where they are. When you dream, we're going into the fourth dimension, subconscious mind. So you're going to where they are still existing. So you can ask them to come visit you then. Or, and then we'll get over that. We'll get on how to do that in the incubation dream part. Or a lot of times this will happen naturally. They will naturally come and visit you because, since they aren't here in the physical, you kind of especially people who have no awareness of themselves beyond the physical, they feel that it's they feel a lot of pain and grief and sadness, and maybe some anger even that the person isn't there. And so that entity will come and visit you in a dream naturally just to help you to alleviate those emotions, to let you know that look, they're fine, they're okay, they're not in any pain or anything. They'll, show you that they still love you. They're okay with what happened and where they ended up. And the reason that a lot of us can then, wake up from that and know, because we'll still dream about those people if they are relevant to what we need to know from our subconscious mind. But the visitation dreams, even if you don't understand anything about dreams, people still intuitively know that they were just visited by that person because the quality of the dream is different. The with lucid dreams, incubation dreams, and visitation dreams, the quality of the dream is different. The feel of the dream is totally different. So even someone who doesn't have any awareness of understanding, the true nature of dreams, they'll still intuitively know that they were just visited by that person. And so also what we'll talk about in the incubation dreams part of being able to incubate a visitation dream, you'll know in the fourth dimension, time does not exist, or time is we're not limited by time. So you can ask someone who's passed away to come and visit you, and they can visit you at any time because they could be, you could be 80 years old. They've been gone for 60 years. And you can still have them come and visit you. They could be someone at some point who has already reincarnated into another body 60 years later. But while they were not incarnate in between that time, they could have gone to the future, visited you in the dream when you asked them to, and then at a later time, consciously you may not understand that, but that's because it's an element of the fourth dimension. Time is not limited. Just like I can move left and right, up and down very freely. When you're in the fourth dimension, you can move through time very freely. So I can pass away, go to the future, and visit my son when he's 98 in a dream, you know what I mean, to help him kind of have more relief or whatever, for whatever purpose. And then, come back, shift back another 40 years and incarnate as, his grandson. You know what I mean? So, and then I'll be 28 or something, 40 years old when he has that dream of me visiting him. May not have any conscious recollection of that experience when I'm incarnate in the next body, but not to confuse anybody, but just kind of to lay that out. If you can kind of understand what I'm saying, then you have a better understanding of fourth dimensional qualities. Anyways, so that's visitation dreams. And then next we'll circle back to visitation dreams when we talk about incubation dreams, on how to incubate a visitation dream. Oh yes, sorry, we were starting with visitation dreams as far as people who have passed away. Well, people who have passed away no longer have a physical body. Like I said, they have a soul in the fourth dimension, a spirit in the fifth dimension. Well, even though we are still here, we have three-dimensional physical bodies, but we also have a soul in the fourth dimension and a spirit in the fifth dimension. So we can all visit each other within the dreams. Even though I'm here and I have a mentee in Mexico, me and him, we can meet up in a dream. We both have to be adept at the abilities to be able to do that. But we can do that. We can go into the dream and visit each other in the dream. That's a lot harder to do than just, incubating a visitation dream from a past loved one, because the past loved one will have the knowledge and understanding and awareness of how to traverse the astral plane. And so it's just a matter of, them kind of finding you. Whereas with, two people who are in the physical, it's a little harder to both consciously visit each other. There is such thing as dream walking, where you could go and visit other people. Like, for instance, I had a classmate once when I was at school in physics who, me and him didn't really get along too well. He didn't really, I don't know, he just didn't really wasn't too open to me. I guess because I was a lot newer than him and on lessons further than him, just because of the different understandings and things that I had and that I applied. But anyways, he became a classmate of mine, and he had halitosis really bad. And I wanted to tell him so much, but I also didn't know how he would receive it. Because he was also a Scorpio, so his emotions were pretty intense. So I didn't, with it coming from me, the type of relationship we had, I didn't want to tell him, but I also had a deep desire to tell him, because I didn't want him to be out there embarrassing himself without knowing and not having an awareness to be able to do anything about it. So fast forward 2 weeks, in our class, at the very end, we would all share a dream, apply, interpret it how we interpret it, and then receive back from our classmates any additional interpretation they receive, and then our teacher would apply any additional interpretation they receive. Well, we all say all of our dreams, and then it comes around to him, and he says, and we always had to do the very last dream that we read. He says, I'm in my room, I hear a knock at the door, I open it up, and it's Tarak. He tells me my breath stinks, and I wake up. And I died laughing, and I actually, I didn't even have a conscious, memory of recalling that. I didn't write down that same dream, but it was just a way in which my, subconscious mind took over, and I still communicated that in a way to where he was open to receive it, because it happened through his dream. So he can't deny it at that point. He can't really, get too mad at me. It's, or not receive the message because of how it came to him. It came to his dream. But it was just hilarious to me. So you can, and I can go down a list of plenty more experiences like that. Where I do consciously remember going into someone else's dream and interacting with them in a particular way. But you never want to do anything like that in any invasive way. Actually, a lot of mine are more so people coming into my dreams and interacting with them in that way. But there are other times consciously going to some other people's dreams, mostly to share messages, not really to get involved or do anything or interact with anything within their dream. Mostly just share messages. All right, so you can also visit with each other. All right, so moving on to precognitive dreams. Okay, so again, dreams occur within the subconscious mind. Here in the fourth dimension, dreams occur within the fourth dimension being time. So the three dimensions in the physical, length, width, and depth, we can move about left and right, forward and back, up and down as freely as we want. All of these 3 dimensions as freely as we want. Well, in the 4th dimension, we can move through time as freely as we want. It takes no time to travel within the 4th dimension. You know, our subconscious mind can run different lines of probability. Like I was saying, you have all of these different alternate realities. Now, alternate realities are really just the infinite possibilities of what your present moment can transform into. It is very possible for me to jump off this balcony and take off flying. It's very possible. But what is more probable to happen if I jump off this balcony is that I will fall to the ground. Now, the the lines of probability are what will be ran through for the precognitive dreams. You know, like deja vu. When you experience deja vu, it's that you are already experiencing the probable reality that ran through your dream. You're in the experience and said, "Oh, I dreamt of this in the past." Well, when you wake up from a precognitive dream, it's from the awareness of, "Oh, I just dreamt this. I'm going to experience this in the future." And then when the future event happens, here's, "Oh, my precognitive dream was right." But if you don't remember the dream upon waking up, or don't identify that that dream will then later come to pass, and then it does come to pass, that's when you call it deja vu. These are different lines of probability based on the thoughts and experiences and emotions of you for you currently, and based on the thoughts and emotions and actions of the people around you and your environment. These things are most probable to happen. You know, because of my strong level of belief that humans can't fly, and I've never seen anyone fly. That's a strong level of belief. Because of that, it may show up more as, because of that strong level of belief, it is more probable that if I jump off this balcony, I'm going to fall and not take off flying. But I feel I do have a stronger level of belief in the possibility of flying than most people. But you know, death is another thing. It's just such a strong belief that it's almost a reality and truth for everybody. But it is not. It is not a definite thing. It is that is part of, universal law of infinity. Anything's possible. There, from my understanding, there are at least 10 immortals on the planet right now. And so, anyways, uh, the the subconscious mind, the 4th dimension, is time. And so precognitive dreams are when you can experience a future event and then it happens. So for example, to give you an example of this, I had a precognitive dream very early on when I first started writing down my dreams. Actually, this was before I started writing down my dreams. I needed my brakes fixed on my truck. I didn't know how to fix brakes on a truck like that. My uncle had showed me on a car that I owned, an Accord that I owned before, and helped me. So I knew that, but the truck, I didn't know. So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna YouTube my way through it. This is like early on in YouTube, so you can. It took me a while to even find a video that was gonna work for me. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to AutoZone tomorrow, pick up these brakes, and make it happen. Well, I go to sleep that night and I dream about 2 friends of mine, AG and TK. These are like very dear friends of mine. I haven't seen them in a long time. They've really saved me from a lot, to say the least. But I go, I run into them in the dream, and the dream just felt different. So like I said, visitation dreams, precognitive dreams, lucid dreams, the quality of the dream is different. The feel of the dream is totally different. And it had this feeling. I didn't understand what it was, but I just knew this dream was different. And I woke up with the dream different. And then, so I wake up, I get on with my day. I go to AutoZone, or actually it was Advanced Auto, and walk in. I'm getting the stuff, and I'm checking out. And here walks in TK and EG. I mean, it's not like I haven't seen these guys in a couple weeks. It had been like 4 or 5 years since I had seen these guys. And I'll always be eternally grateful for these two. Always. Always. But anyways, I see them, and we're catching up. I'm like, what have you been up to lately? And TK tells me, "Oh man, I've just been working on cars all the time lately." I'm like, "Oh my god, man, can you please help me fix the brakes on my truck?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then he goes and fixes them and doesn't charge me a thing, because we're just hanging out, catching up and stuff. But that was, I had a precognitive dream that I would run into, because I kind of just randomly ran into him in the dream in the woods. and then, ran into him in real life. So but the reason we ran into the woods is because, like I said earlier, even though it's a precognitive dream, even though it's a lucid dream, even though it's a visitation dream, there will still be the message for you, the same as interpreting any other dream. It's like, yes, every precognitive dream will still have that message, but not every dream with a message, every regular dream with a message is going to be a precognitive dream or lucid dream or visitation dream. It's just like every weekday is a day of the week, but not every day of the week is a weekday. Every Monday, every Tuesday is a day of the week. Not every weekday or not every day of the week is a weekday. Saturdays and Sundays are days of the week, but they aren't weekdays. Precognitive dreams, visitation dreams, lucid dreams, they always have the message. Not every time they have a message will it be precognitive dream, lucid dream. All right. So, like I was saying earlier, another thing with the precognitive dreams is that through your dream experience, one, you can also not only can you access all of the possible future possibilities, which essentially is, checking all of the, alternate realities, that people are really fascinated with, because our the collective consciousness is at a point that they can understand this awareness and this information. So it's in a lot of movies and TV shows and things, and a lot of conversations, especially like metaphysical, spiritual conversations, multiple dimensions, quantum jumping, and things like that. We're going into 5D, alternate realities. Well, all these alternate realities are really just the infinite possibilities of what the present moment can evolve into in this physical reality. And so through the fourth dimension, you are able to access all of those alternate realities and then bring back the knowledge and information from what you experienced, or help yourself to shift the current present moment into one of those realities that it will evolve into. You can do all of those things, but that's truly what's going on. But you can also, because time is two directions, as far as, the way we experience it, forward and backward, future and past and present. So you can also go into the past, but it is multidimensional, because a lot of your experience within this fourth dimensional is your own life. When you're going into the fourth dimension, you're able to experience your own future possibilities and alternate realities, your own past events through your own past lifetimes. So if you didn't experience any lifetime from the physical years of 200 to 900, then really the only way that you can access the information of what was going on the planet at that time is through your fourth dimensional experience of that. So it might be lost on a couple of you, but some of you might have grasped what I was just saying. But essentially what I'm saying is your movement through time is still locked in space, because here in this third dimension, we're locked in the present moment, time. We can't move to the future, we can't move to the past, and we're also locked in this body. I can't suddenly move my consciousness to this, to this plant, this computer, to the bee hive, across the way. So I'm also locked in space. Well, when you go to the fourth dimension, time is then unlocked and you can move all over, but you're still locked in space. So the time that you're traversing in the future and past is still your time. You can experience your past, your possible futures. Now, when you get into the fifth dimension, that's when you can start to unlock and identify the space, the whole history of the planet Earth, the cosmos, the lifetimes of other people, not just yourself, because then space is unlocked. So I just want to throw that out there also, as far as understanding the access of time within the fourth dimension. You have to go a little deeper if you want to experience the past or possible future outside of your own experience of it within your own vehicles. Lucid dreams. Yes, the bread and butter, the meat and potatoes. Lucid dreams. I love lucid dreams. So lucid dreams are when you are aware that you are dreaming while still in the dream. A lot of times people think, well, it was really vivid. I remembered a lot. It seemed really, very real. Like when you're dreaming of dreams that are realer than real life, that's usually upper astral. Regular dreams are always lower astral usually. Black and white dreams, emotional. When it's like feeling realer than real life, it's usually the upper astral. Or you're like kind of edging into the upper astral a little bit if like things are a lot more vibrant. When you're really immersed into the upper astral, it's like everything's so much more vivid than real life. You wake up and you're like looking around like, man, life seems so bland compared to what I was just experiencing. That's why like heroin addicts are so addicted because, the harder the drug, the more the veil of these levels is removed. And so like heroin, they're experiencing more like upper astral shit. When they come back, they're experiencing more bliss and everything, and things shit just feels more real. Everything feels more real. Their thoughts, they can actually feel their thoughts because it's right next to it. Emotions, we call them feelings because the emotional level is next to the physical level. When you're up in the astral level, you can feel your emotions just like or you can feel your thoughts just like you can feel your emotions in your regular body. So that can be very addicting, that experience. You come back to regular life and shit just feels bland. I remember the first time I had a dream like that. I came back, I woke up, it was 3-4 days before I was, not just like looking around at everything like, man, what in the world? Like I was kind of questioning reality for a little bit. Like this does not feel like what's real. That felt more real than this. So what is really real? And so, it led me to other thoughts of understanding, what is real. When we talk about real life, all of this is life. It's all the field of experience. It's just experiencing it in different ways. But anyways, your lucid dreams are becoming aware that you are dreaming while still in the dream. So just because you're, you wake up and feel like that experience was more real doesn't mean it was a lucid dream. Just because, you are remembering so much more than before doesn't mean it was a lucid dream. A lucid dream is when you are realizing you are in the dream while you are still in the dream. You're aware and awake outside of your body and in your astral body, outside of the third dimension and the fourth. So remember, dreams are a reflection of your conscious mind. So if you want to be more lucid and have more lucid experiences, then you need to become more lucid of your conscious mind. While you're awake, you need to be more aware and lucid. So what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? We experience life through our physical senses. If you were blind and deaf and you couldn't smell or taste or feel anything, you wouldn't even know you were alive, because the only way we experience anything through this physical body is through the senses. And so utilize those senses to become more alert and aware and awake to what is going on with the experience. Even seeing, because we experience so much of our awareness through seeing. Look at the things, like look around wherever you're at right now, and look at the things you don't normally look at. Like I'm out on this patio. I'm looking at the underside of the siding, the side of the building. I never look at the underside of it. Really be aware of everything. Way across the way, oh, I never noticed that I can actually see a couple treetops over top of some of these other apartments. Oh, I never noticed that. So I'm bringing more awareness to what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? What I'm hearing, the crickets, other people's, AC. I can kind of hear the cars on the road from the busiest road closest to me that I never really ever hear. I never hear them. But if I put my attention on it, I can actually hear them. But giving more attention to what I'm experiencing. What am I smelling? A lot of times we'll say, "Oh, I'm not tasting anything," or "I'm not smelling anything." That's just because you're usually not putting any awareness on those senses at all. So really put your attention there. Just close your eyes, close your ears, close everything else down to help you give more attention there if it's a sense that you really don't really put a lot of attention on. And that is how you become more lucid in your waking experience. And the more you do that, the more often you do that, the better you become at doing that, then the more frequently you will become lucid in your dreams, because dreams are a reflection of your conscious mind. So if you're more lucid and aware in the conscious mind out here in the physical body, then your dream will be a reflection of that. So what do you do when you become lucid? I do it all the time. I did it all the time. But majority of people, when they first become lucid, they do one of two things. Majority of the time, they take off flying. Like 90% of the time, they'll take off flying. And then sex is the other thing. The majority of people do when they're lucid. You can go to any forum, the people talking about lucid dreams, and ask them, what do you do when you lucid dream? It'll be top two answers. It's going to be 99% of all the answers will be those two. What you want to do with your lucidity is because now gone through 4 weeks. And we're on the 5th week of understanding our dreams, not just what they are, but the purpose of our dreams. So we're understanding that the purpose is for us to become more self-aware, more aware of ourselves, and also to receive the messages from our subconscious mind, which comes from our soul, which always has our back. It's never going to lead us the wrong way. It's always has our best interest in mind. It's always going to love us unconditionally. There's nothing we can do to our soul to where it will not love us. So if all of that is true, we don't want to be interfering with that. We don't want to, be in the middle of receiving a message and then just take off away from it. And now we don't get the rest of the message. That's like if you're, in the middle of a phone call. Hey, it's Rock, man. You were saying that this was a problem of yours. Well, I got the solution. First thing you're gonna want to do is, oh my God, hold on, I'm on a phone call. Click. Let me take off. Let me not listen to the rest of this message. You don't want to do that. You don't want to interfere. You don't want to just change where you're at. Like my first lucid dream, became aware I was in a dream, looked over at my stepdad because my stepdad was there. I said, oh my God, we're in a dream. And he just kind of smiled and nodded his head. It wasn't really him, it was just aspect. And then all of a sudden, I was on a cobblestone street in between these pathways. I kind of remember the end of the dream, but I don't remember the beginning because of what I did. I then all the buildings fell flat to the ground. A basketball hoop popped up and a basketball popped up. And then I got really excited because I was about to play basketball in my dream. Like, holy shit, I did it. I finally did it. I'm lucid. And then I woke up. Well, why did I wake up? Because I was here in the astral realm dreaming, became aware I was dreaming, got excited. Excitement is an intense emotion. So my emotions got a lot stronger. Well, my emotions are lower. So they're going to pull me into the emotional level. Well, if I start going here, where's the momentum going to take me? Back to the body. So you're going to wake up. So if you're lucid dreaming, one of the very first things you want to do is remain calm. And the best way to remain calm is to just give your attention to what you're experiencing. Look around, where you're at, who you're with, what's going on. And that is what you want to use your lucidity for, to gain more details of the dream. Use your lucidity to gain more details of the dream. If you're become lucid and there's someone there that you don't know, oh, great. Instead of waiting to wake up and trying to figure out, well, I didn't even know that person, I'm just going to skip over that symbol. You know what I mean? Because that's what we normally do. Instead, I'm in the dream now. I can ask them. I can walk over there and ask them who they are. So I'll walk over there and ask him, who are you? He ain't going to say, oh, I'm, Bill from eight houses down. No, he's going to show you. Because remember, the subconscious mind, the mind in general communicates in images, not in voices, not in words, in images. So he's going to show you who he is. And through the actions that character portrays, that is how you will be able to then, when you wake up, identify what part of yourself that represents. You can even just ask out loud your greater consciousness, what do you want me to know? Ask anything. We'll get into incubation dreams in a second. That's tied to that. You can ask anything. You can do anything, but use your lucidity to gain more detail. Don't use your lucidity to start changing things, because then you're going to get confused on the message. Even if you just change a little thing, then you're going to get confused on the message. And I mean, there will become a point where you will use your lucidity to start changing things. But once you master the language, once you're in, and once you start practicing this, right now we're 28 days deep of writing down our dreams every night, maybe, give or take a few days, or if we're less disciplined, only maybe, 5 or 10 days, but that's fine. You're starting out, be easy on yourself. You're just starting out on this, you got the rest of your life. But as you get better at learning how to interpret your dreams, you're going to get better becoming more conscious of your dreams. And so the more awareness and attention you give, the more lucid you will become. Part of becoming more lucid in a dream, you're going to start interpreting the dream while you're still in the dream. You won't necessarily become lucid. And you can do it when you're lucid, but before then, you'll have a period of time where you're already interpreting the dream while the dream is going on. It's kind of semi-lucid. I call it semi-lucid because you're not fully lucid and aware that you're in the dream, but you're semi-lucid. You're kind of awake, like groggy eyed, and you're going in and grabbing something to drink, in the middle of the night. You're awake, but you're semi-awake. You're still gonna, stub your toe on the counter because you're not fully awake. So it's the same thing. You're semi-lucid. You're kind of aware that this something's up here. So you're kind of aware that you're in a dream, and so you start interpreting it. Another thing that will help you to have this experience is during the day, and this is one of the greatest things. That's what I was going to end on. But practice your dream interpretation in your waking experiences when you're awake. In your whatever you're experiencing while you're awake. If you're washing the dishes, cleaning up the kitchen, okay. Well, kitchen represents, the state of mind of learning from our life experiences. Okay, and kind of preparing the space of the what I want to learn from life. Okay, that's what is going on in my consciousness right now. Okay, I'm walking my dog. Okay, I'm aligned with this habitual way that I'm just a loyal person, or however you see dogs. I see them as loyal. So, man's best friend, I see them as loyal. So they represent ways that I'm habitually loyal whenever I'm dreaming of a dog. So if I'm walking my dog, then, okay, I am, you know, in alignment and spending time and in control. I'm now in control of the way that I am habitually loyal to people or to myself. So practice interpreting your dreams during the day, and then you'll also get even better and faster at interpreting the dream while you're in the dream. But when you actually become lucid, and you understand the language, then you can interpret it while you're lucid and then identify, oh, you know what? This thing over here is something I've been struggling with. This, I'm stuck in this room and there's no doors. And can become lucid. You know what? This is some sort of limitation. Let me first identify what limitation this is. You know what? This is the limitation of feeling closed off to the world. There's no doors and no windows. Oh wow, I have been such an internal person because I've been protecting myself, and based upon experiences that I've had and programming that I've had as a child, I feel very closed off to the world. And I have been working on kind of connecting with people a little more, not being so closed off. You know what? I do want to break down this wall, and so then you can consciously choose to conduct, I call it mental surgery, conduct this mental surgery, and you can break down those walls. You're lucid, so you can immediately manifest a sledgehammer in your hands, a jackhammer in your hands, a wrecking ball, whatever you want. I mean, that's what I say all the time. The movie Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds is a training video for lucidity and astral projection. So watch it over and over and learn the constructs of how to do these things. What's the source of his power? Willpower. So use your will, use your concentration. Those will determine the strength of your constructs. And what is the greatest enemy while you're in there? Fear. So overpower your fear. And how does he overpower his fear? Through affirmations, through the thoughts and beliefs that you hold of what's true, what's universally true. So anyways, when you do that, you can then go ahead and break down that limitation, and then you'll be different once you wake up. But you definitely want to make sure that you are different once you wake up. Consciously move forward. After you wake up from that dream, you're like, oh, wow, okay, I broke down those walls that I built up around myself. So let me make sure that I conduct myself with interactions with other people in such a way that those walls are not present. Let me not rebuild those walls, because they'll have even more detrimental effects than the detrimental effects they were already having, because I've done this surgery internally. It's like when somebody has gastric bypass surgery and they get their stomach shrunk and stapled up. If they do not change and they continue eating the way that they were, they'll be in worse physical health than they were without having the surgery. So if you don't plan on changing your habits and the things that got you to where you are, then you don't want to have that gastric bypass surgery. I mean, the doctor will tell you, you don't want to do this if you don't have any plans of changing your eating habits. So the same thing, when you're lucid or in a dream in general, you don't want to make those changes if you don't have any plans of making any changes that go along with that to facilitate that change when you're awake in the physical. That's why I suggest don't making any changes unless you understand the language enough to where you can interpret it while you're in the dream experiencing it. But until then, use your lucidity to gain more detail of the dream. And I'm gonna have another series specifically on lucid dreaming in as far as like how to lucid dream, how to gain more into lucid dreaming. This is more just kind of I did kind of detailed a few things, but this is more just what lucid dreams are and what to do with them if you do end up having them. And the different, the main number one thing is writing down your dreams. When you get to the point where you're ready for that, I'll be available. If the course isn't out there, reach out to me. I'll help out. I don't mind. All right. So next, or any questions on lucid dreaming? All right. Next, we have incubated dreams. So again, dreams are messages to us from our subconscious mind, but we can incubate a particular message. We can sit there and say, hey, I want a message on this. Give me an answer on this. You can incubate precognitive dreams, you can incubate visitation dreams, you can incubate lucid dreams. So, but first, let's just say a regular message. We're getting messages from our dreams, and it's like for example, say you did have a dream and you didn't know who the person was, but it was a very key person in the dream. You can incubate the dream the next night. I want to know what part of myself this is, or even better. Let's say you want to understand what is at the cause of your experience of a lack of money, not being abundant in wealth. You know what? Why am I fucking always having problems with money? What is at the source of my issues with money? Okay, incubate a dream on it. Incubated dreams are only, you can never write down a dream ever, never work your dreams ever. Go write down an incubated dream and have one that night. That's completely possible. But the success rate of incubated dreams skyrockets if you are someone who has regularly been working with your dreams, interpreting your dreams, applying the message. So after you've been doing this for about at least 3 weeks, but around 2-3 months, that's when I would start suggesting incorporating incubating dreams whenever you want it. But let's just say you're that person and you're at this point when you want to ask that question. What you would do is, so you have your nightly ritual of writing down tomorrow's day. You have writing down tomorrow's day, writing down I will remember my dreams, and then saying it out loud and going to sleep. Well, the last thing that you'll do before this, and you'll do this in your dream journal, is you will write out every thought that you can possibly think of in regards to what you're wanting the incubated dream to be about. So I want to know and understand what the source of my issue is with money and not having enough money. I feel like I never have enough money. I feel like I've always been in this situation of never having enough money. Even when I save up money, some sort of issue comes up where it's the exact amount that I need in order to where then I ultimately end up experiencing again not having enough money. Like 4 months ago, I finally read some books and watched some videos and learned how to save money. I was saving money. I was putting aside 10% of my money every single day until I was up to $1,200, and I was so excited that I was over $1,000 for the first time in my life. And then a week later, my car broke down and it cost exactly $1,150, and I was back to having only $50. And I'm so sick and tired of this. Every single time I feel like I can't ever breathe. Everything that's going on, I feel like I need more money. Every time I go to the grocery store, I pass up all these other things that I want because I can only get the things that I actually need because I don't have enough money. My checks aren't ever enough. Every time I open up my check, I look at it and I only have, $800, and I see that I should have had, $1,300, but due to all the taxes and Social Security and everything, I only have $8. And every time I look at that, I feel like I'm being robbed before I even get my paycheck. And what is going on? Every time I open up my mail, there's bills. Every time I open up my email, there's bills. Every time I open up my text messages, there's people asking me for money because they want me to help them out. Because even though I don't, have a whole lot of money, I still have more money than everybody else that I know. And so why is that? Why do I only know people who have less money than me? I need to learn how to find people who have more money than me. I need to make some new friends. not necessarily replace any old friends, but I need to make some new ones that have money. Just keep on going. Just don't let the thoughts stop. Whatever one thought leads to the next, just keep on writing and writing and writing until there is absolutely nothing left to write. Write about what the problem is. Write about all the thoughts that you have about the problem, all of the emotions that you have about the problem. Write about all of the possible solutions, all the solutions that you've tried, all the solutions that you haven't tried, all the solutions that you think are impossible but could possibly happen. Any kind of thought that you could possibly have about it. Keep on writing until there is absolutely nothing left to write. Now, the value in this is that what it's going to do for you is it might take 5 minutes, might take 25 minutes. What it's going to do is it is going to empty the conscious mind of all of the thoughts. You just took all those thoughts and physicalized them. So it allows your conscious mind the space to let go of the thoughts so that the thoughts aren't continuing to swirl in the back of your mind, holding on to them because they haven't physicalized yet. So that physicalizes them and allows your conscious mind to let them go. Now, once your conscious mind lets them go, what's that do? It creates space within the conscious mind. Now, creating space in the conscious mind, that means that it can better receive from the subconscious mind. So here's an example of how powerful that can be. The periodic chart was created by Dmitry Mendeleev, I think his name was. Yeah, Dmitry Mendeleev. Dmitry Mendeleev he was a scientist, created the periodic chart. How did he do that? How did he come up with the periodic chart? From his dreams. He woke up from a dream and began writing out the periodic chart. Once he was done, he only had one thing that he needed to change. And that's the periodic chart that we have today. I mean, we have more elements than what was there, but the vast majority of them, that's where they came from. Now, how did that happen? Well, he completely he was, whatever he was working on, I don't know what he was doing or how he was working on it, but that's what he was focusing his attention on, was the periodic chart, the elements. And he had done so much research and thoughts and contemplation and reflection that he completely exhausted his conscious mind to where then he could receive space from the subconscious mind, the part that understands universal truth, understands the nature of reality, the nature and essence and sacred geometry of the physical. And so here's the periodic chart. He received it. But he first emptied all of the conscious thoughts. Another guy, the guy who invented the lock stitch sewing machine. He's trying to invent this new needle, the sewing machine, exhausting his entire conscious mind. All of a sudden, in a dream, he's dreaming that he's inside of this pot in this like African village, and they're stewing and brewing him up to cook him and eat him. And the people, they're dancing around his pot while he's cooking. and the spears that they are holding have the shape of the lock stitch needle that he then woke up and invented. Now, like I said, every dream isn't going to be an incubated dream, a precognitive dream, or a lucid dream. But every lucid dream, incubated dream, precognitive dream, visitation dream will hold a message. So that's why that dream came to him in that way. Yes, here's the answer to what you need, but the subconscious mind is still going to deliver it to you in some sort of way to receive that message. So as far as, being in a pot, feeling like you're getting cooked and devouring yourself, maybe he was, really eating away at himself, like starving himself and not eating, not drinking, not socializing with other people as he was trying to come up with this invention. Maybe that's how he did it, because that's what the dream would represent. But either way, the answer came to him in a dream. Harriet Tubman. She navigated the Underground Railroad through her dreams. She would access and identify where they needed to go, wherever they were at in her dreams. Because she wasn't just taking the same route every trip. I mean, she'd go down to Georgia and pull some people out, take them out up to Virginia, or New York. She would then go down to Alabama and take them up to Wisconsin. She would go all different. She don't know all them routes. She followed her intuition through her dreams. There was another one too. I can't remember right now that I had an example ready for me. I should have wrote it down. Anyways, essentially the way that happened was through emptying and creating space within the physical. So that's what you're doing with the writing it down. Now, If you want to have a visitation dream, then instead of writing down all the thoughts and emotions that you have about some sort of problem and a possible solution, you're pretty much going to write a letter to that loved one who has passed away. Now remember, do this, do this like, 2, 3 months into already writing down your dreams and working with your dreams and applying the message into your life. But also, if the person has just passed, wait at least, 2 or 3 months to then ask them to come back. Let them get their legs. Anyways, I mean, they can come back anytime, but it's mostly for you. Let yourself process, give yourself 2 to 3 months to naturally process that grief and sadness and things, and where you're in a better space to receive the experience. The experience will be more rich for you, and you'll be able to connect with them a lot better and easier if it's already been 3 or 4 months or so. But what you'll do is you'll just write a letter and make that letter, like, do it the same way. Just start writing and don't stop writing until you're done, until there's absolutely nothing left that your pen could possibly put to paper. And write a letter about all of the thoughts that you have about them, how much you miss them, how much you love them, all the things that you wish they could have experienced, all the things that you wished you could have said, all the memories that you love about them, all the feelings that you have about them. Whether it's sadness that they're not there, there's anger that they're not there, anything. Just let them know. I hope that you can forgive me for being angry with you for not being here. I hope that doesn't feel like I'm being selfish, or any kind of thought. Just write it all out, write it all down, put it all down until you actually have nothing left to do. And at the very end, please, please come and visit me within my dream. Set your pen down, then write, tomorrow's date, 7/25/2022. I will remember my dreams. Then close it. I will remember these dreams. And then go to sleep. Precognitive dream. If you want to have some sort of possible insight into what's going to happen in the future, me, I would mostly like if, will this happen? I would mostly look at because anything's possible. So I would mostly form the precognitive incubated dream of, like, what would the benefits be of this happening, or what would the detriment be, or what would the benefits be of this happening versus the benefits being of this, something like that. Like, if I got offered a job in Seattle, what would be the benefits of me taking it versus the benefits of me not taking it, staying here? Or what would be the benefits of me taking it versus the detriment of me taking it? Or if it is something like, what is going to happen to me, 5 years from now? What could my life possibly look like 5 years from now? What would I need to do to make it that highest possible reality? But write out every thought that you have pertaining to that, whatever that precognitive, whatever that future event is that you're wanting to know about. Write out everything. Really empty the conscious mind and then go to sleep. And with all of these, if you are doing it for at least 2 to 3 months, where every single night you're writing down your dreams, every single night, every single morning you're interpreting your dreams, and every single morning you're formulating a game plan to implement that message into your life, and every single day you do implement that game plan into your life, you will have this happen. You will have a response to this visitation dream, precognitive dream, or incubating a lucid dream. Even, I will be lucid. I want to be lucid. This is all the reasons why I want to be lucid. This is what I want to do with my lucidity. This is what I want to experience when I'm lucid. You you will have a response that night. Now, not very many of us are that disciplined, so of doing it every single night, every single morning, and every single day. So it may take us a couple days. I may have to write that letter to that loved one 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. Might take 7. But I really doubt, if you're really desiring this and really putting forth the effort, I really doubt it would take more than 7 days. But do it until it works. Do it until it works. And like I said about everything else, I don't know if I say it every week, but I say it regularly all the time. Do not believe a single thing that you just heard in any of these slides. Don't believe a single word. Don't rely on belief. Be open to what you've received. Create experiences for yourself so that you can then know whether something is true or not. Well, that is the universal language of the mind. That is the Dream Interpretation Masterclass. You have access to this forever, so rewatch it. Definitely rewatch that first lesson as many times as you can. Go over these symbols. practice your own symbols that we haven't given in here, and write down your dreams, remember your dreams, and interpret, apply the message into your life.